I invented a way that prevents Chest of Fortune from spawning, at least from the player's perspective. But will I be able to actually pull it off? Even though my idea was possible, it would require a perfect execution on my part, but I am not exactly known as a good player. It starts off by clearing the first 2 skeleton fleet waves. Then the big galleon boss arrives. I will make sure my ship has a few holes in it before I jump on the galleon. To ensure my survival on this skeleton ship, I will take along with me a storage crate that has a lot of food inside it. Then my ship will sink, and after some time passes, other players will arrive and finish off the galleon. But most importantly, I will yoink the Chest of Fortune before they can even see it. Stick to the very end to know why I am doing this. I called up 2 of my friends, Mr. K and Candy. However, one of them was still asleep. We found the fleet pretty quickly. It was almost going too perfectly, as we couldn't see any other players nearby. After defeating the first 2 waves, we slammed into the galleon and boarded successfully. We even found this cool spot where you can confuse the skeletons. But only for a few minutes, as a skeleton occasionally came up and found us. After waiting for nearly half an hour, a sloop came by and started to circle around the galleon. It appeared like this was a new player, but that wasn't the case. And right in the worst moment possible, a skeleton decided to come up.
Oh no.
I was harpooned off, and with that, our first attempt had failed. Mr. K left, but luckily for me, Candy had woken up. But this time, it took us a very long time to even find the event. However, I was determined enough to spend multiple days on this project if it was necessary. I had learned from my previous mistakes, and we only spent time on the very bottom of the ship. But then, an unexpected thing happened that no one could have predicted. The ship simply disappeared, leaving the skeleton crew and us in open waters.
What?
On top of that, our cameras were now slightly sideways. It seemed like we had failed yet again. I located the food crate and discovered that we still had hope. Because the rowboat that was attached to our ship was still there. Not only did it protect us from sharks, but it also fixed our camera angles. I sent Candy to an outpost, and he was now sailing towards the event with the new sloop, while I was slowly making my way closer to the big red cloud in the sky. And that's when I noticed players in the distance already fighting a new galleon boss. I had to rowboat as fast as I could, and I would have to sneak on the galleon somehow without being noticed. And because it took me so long to get over here, I was already slightly shaking, as if I was waiting for a school exam just before going in. Eventually, I got close enough, and to avoid being noticed, I jumped off the rowboat. I was afraid I wouldn't make it to the galleon, but the ship turned towards me. Now, the question was, if someone was already on the ship preventing the skeletons from fixing holes. I got on the ladder and tried to listen in, but while I was doing that, the sloop acquired an angle on me. I wasn't sure if they had noticed me, but staying in the captain's quarters wasn't the way to go, because it had holes I could be seen from. It wasn't long before the ship filled up with water, and because it is possible to get black screened back to your ship if I stayed here. I had to jump out right before it went down. The big question, did they know someone was here? My mermaid could have also been seen by them, but while I was stressing out about that, the sinking galleon appeared oddly beautiful to me. And then, all the loot appeared. I immediately noticed the fortune chest and swam towards it. The chest was in my hands, and now I was hoping the sharks would ignore me for a while. I resurfaced for air and was shocked to see how close the sloop was. I didn't know if they were following my mermaids, but then I heard them speak.
Yeah, we're closing in.
They clearly only cared about the loot, and had no idea the fortune chest was swimming underneath them. Around 6 hours had passed, and I finally did it. Now the only thing I needed to worry about was sharks. But I was prepared for that, and still had all my bullets, not to mention I had 4 pineapples with me. After swimming for 5 minutes, I could see Candy in the distance. And obviously, the challenge isn't done until I sell the chest and get rid of the evidence that it ever existed, which I did immediately. But you might still be wondering why I went through so much trouble for this. But the answer is simple. Because this is the coolest way to steal a chest. Subscribe if you want to see more crazy ideas no one has ever done, as I will be buying my friends a screen recorder so that I can get multiple POVs and go wild.